What's up, guys? I'm just a gamer, and I'm back with Final Fantasy XIV. It's been a long time. I mentioned it in one of my other videos that I haven't been able to play, mostly because I couldn't keep up with my subscription. Stuff was happening, and yeah, I just couldn't keep up with it. So I'm actually behind on a couple of things. I'm behind on 6.15 and 1.8, which I believe was the new Omega quest line and Tatsu's Grand Adventure, plus the Oxidor Travel quest line. I haven't done any of the Hildebrand. In fact, I was behind on Hildebrand before Endwalker, so that's something I have to do as well. But yeah, point is I'm really behind, and 6.2 is already out. So yeah, more than likely this video here will probably be me just doing the two quest lines, Omega and Tatsu's Great Adventure, and then from there I'm gonna jump into 6.2. But yeah, I'm really excited to jump back in, but also really worried because since I haven't played in so long, it's like, you forget how to play your class. You forget how to do rotations and all that stuff. So here's to hoping I can keep it going. But yeah, enough of me talking. Let's get into it. All right, so I'm assuming this is either, again, which is weird. Actually, shouldn't there be two blue quests here? One for Totru and one for Omega? But I only see this one here for the Clueless Crier. I can't get it right now. But yeah, so like, yeah, I don't know which one this is. I'm assuming it's Omega. Oh, no, this is for Island Sanctuary. So wait, where are the? Are these gold quests? Really, the Omega and Tatru side quests are not blue quests. They're regular gold quests. I mean, that makes sense because blue quests usually unlock something, so that would be Island Sanctuary. Oh wow, okay. So yeah, since this one's next to Tataru's building, I'm assuming that's Tataru's one. But I actually want to do Omega first, so let's go do Omega first. Let's go do Omega first. There he is. Cute little Omega. A heartless hypothesis. The spy-speckled technician is enjoying the refreshing harbor breeze. Ugh. That's blown the cobwebs away. Time to return to work. Goodness me, look who it is. How incredibly serendipitous. Holy shitballs. Serendipitous? 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 Serendipitous. There we go. Serendipitous. That I would run into you of all people. I was part of the team which designed the Ragnarok, you see, and we've recently begun to the process of combing through the vessel's flight log data. The primary objective of our journey to Ultima Thule was to save our star and countless others, of course, but it also provided us with an invaluable trove of information, records of places and events we could only dream of. Your safe return gave us much to be thankful for. As it so happens, one of the things we pulled from the log was a transmission of unknown origin, something the ship must have intercepted during its flight. We believe it to be an audio message, but even our most knowledgeable scholars have been unable to decipher its content, Professor Rarusha included. For a while there it seemed we must accept defeat, but today may be the day that we finally solve the mystery. If you're so inclined, would you care to come along to Thamazine? It seems fitting to have one of the Ragnarok's original passengers present to hear history being made. So yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. I just realized, how's the... I should have checked the audio. See how... There's a... What? I'm missing a blue quest? Oh, obviously a Bithos. What am I thinking? Duh. But we're gonna save that for later, because I am not a hardcore Final Fantasy person. I suck. I'm casual. If you've seen my other videos, you know this. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. First, I want to do, Omega, Tatru, and then we'll move on to 6.2 main quest line, and then we'll move on to Abithos. Even though I really dig the new armor. The new armor looks really cool to me. And I feel like, why is the audio so low here? I'm gonna do that and see if it's better. It should be hopefully better. I don't think it should be that low. Okay, maybe it is too high. Ah, there you are. This is where we're to meet the engineers from Garland Ironworks, who I'm told potentially hold the key to unlocking our mystery transmission. They should be along any moment. Sorry we're late. We had some trouble finding the right... Gods, is that you, Tenon? Sorry about that. Yes, the man himself. I ran into him at the harbor and thought if anyone deserved to hear this message deciphered, it was Tenon Dracos. No argument here, but bugger me if you don't have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. This actually has more to do with you than you might think, so please do stick around. Shall we pick up from where we left off then? As I was saying, we think this transmission the Ragnarok intercepted is a message of some kind, albeit in a language entirely alien to ours. Alien being the operative word here. Considering we received the message out in the great expanse, its origin was likely some distant star. Unfortunately, our list of off-world allies is presently rather short. Thus, we were resigned to the fact that the meaning behind the message would remain beyond our understanding. One of my colleagues, however, refused to give up. She remembered the Ironworks engineers who had been so helpful in the construction of the Ragnarok, and turned to them for insight into our seemingly impossible problem. Do you know what Wedge said when he heard what was going on? We should have Omega listen to it. I bet it can tell us what the message means. It's true. Not the Omega you beat in the Rift, of course. He's talking about the toy that trottles around with Alpha, the little model we made. We originally designed it to follow a chosen target and not much else, but I've seen it act in ways that, well, it's like it has a mind of its own. Then I got thinking about those documents your lot sent to the chief, the full report on the final days. In the part about Omega civilization, it said their people discovered how to convert the mind into data and store it outside the body. Timing being what it was, I wonder if Omega didn't somehow transfer its consciousness into our model right before you put an end to the real one. Which is what I assumed right off the bat. Hey, little buddies! Oh! So, in an effort to get to the bottom of that, as well as to take a crack at this indecipherable message, we decided to make some modifications. With the help from Labyrinthos technicians, we upgraded our toy Omega with a fully functional vocalization module. We played the transmission for Omega, and I think it's ready to share. Are you in there, Omega? Yeah, I'm gonna say, are you in there, Omega? Is he gonna ignore me because he's afraid? Affirmative. If by Omega you are referring to my consciousness rather than my entire former chassis, existing inside this considerably smaller frame. Okay, yeah, no, it is him. He did answer. Prediction. You will formulate several misconceptions. These I shall preemptively dismiss based on the following facts. 1. Vocalization module aside, this chassis remains unmodified from the design constructed by the engineers of Biggs and Wedge. I evaluate its combat capabilities to be on par with a mortal infant. Haha, baby. 2. The mechanism which allowed me to perform an emergency transfer of my consciousness was installed in my previous body. With the destruction of that body, I am rendered incapable of replicating such a feat. Should this current material form be destroyed or cease to function, all cognitive awareness or presence I possess will be lost. Conclusion. I present no threat to you or your star, nor do my projections indicate that necessity to inflict harm. In the fraction of a moment before my annihilation in the rift, I re-examined my directives. If I am to fulfill my purpose as an evolving construct, then I must continue my journey for improvement for as long as I exist. I must acquire this heart of yours, this strength of soul. Well, there you have it, and it's not wrong about its combat capabilities. It'd be more likely to damage itself than the thing it was trying to attack. I was never worried. But let's not forget the reason we brought you here in the first place. What about the transmission they played for you? Could you recognize the language? Affirmatives. It was transmitted in a pan-galactic basic. Pan-galactic basic? It's basically the universal language that everyone but Earth knows. A common language in comparatively extensive usage throughout the worlds that we have conquered. Which means you can finally tell us what the message said. That is a language you understand, yes? I understand it perfectly. I am fluent in over 6 million distinct dialectal codings. My cooperation in this matter, however, is conditional. Elaboration. Your chief Sid utilizes the floor as part of his unorthodox filing system, which allowed me to scan the report on the final days. Oh, god dang it, Sid. I am aware that my home star, the one you call Alphatron, was obliterated in the aftermath of Sir and Meteon's meeting. The existence of Dynamis has not previously factored into my projections, but I now comprehend the concept in theory. What fails to compute is why the Omicrons were not immune to its effects. Dynamis should have no influence on a race which possesses no heart. And yet, Sir expressed to Meteon a desire to cease existing. Illogical. I must pursue this anomaly further, until the full equation becomes clear to me. I must analyze all of the elements of the final days, and deepen my understanding of the heart's intangible properties. To expedite this process, I require an external interpretation of those sections of the report which continue to produce errors in my calculations. Holy crap! I forgot how bad I am at talking, or reading and talking at the same time. I request the assistance of Tenon Dracos, as the one who experienced the ravages of the ultimate despair on multiple fronts and displayed immeasurable heart in engineering my defeat. He is the optimal choice to fulfill this role. So we either agree to your conditions or you tell us nothing. I'm sorry to put you in a spot like this, Tenon. If you have the time and the patience to spare, we'd all be grateful if you could humor the toy's demands. I'm good with it. I love these guys. Alpha dozed off. I suppose the subject was a bit technical. I didn't even notice. Bloop, bloop. I don't know. I don't know why I said bloop. Rouse yourself, Alpha. You must listen to consider these matters, even as I must. Wait. Why don't you take a trip? Why don't you make a trip out of it? You know, actually visit the places that have the things Omega wants to ask about. It'll make explaining stuff easier, for one, and also keep Alpha awake and alert. Okay. Funny how Medion is right here next to us. What a remarkable development. Biggs and Wedge told me of your encounter with Omega before we began, and now that we have the Omicron's weapon talking, there are so many questions I'm simply dying to ask. Back when we were first exploring our options, we did actually consider playing the transmission to the inhabitants of Ultima Thule. The problem is, we would be dealing with beings recreated through dynamis. Their communication is based on emotional energy, and anything lacking that vital component would likely fail to register. That rules out a recorded message, and so we focused on the resources we had at hand, never dreaming that the solution would but fall into our lap. Omega has been an outright terror to us in the past, but it's almost strange how little it frightens me now. It helps that it's trapped inside that tiny model, of course, and that it follows Alpha around like a puppy. But most of all, I remember the chief telling us how much it sounded like a lost child there at the end. I bet the chief won't see this one coming. Once he gets over the shock, though, I don't think he'll want us to destroy Omega. Nero, on the other hand, he'll want to use the model for some dangerous experiment. In fact, maybe we should put off making a report for now. Quay? Yep, Quay. I see I've chosen the mutually beneficial option. Logical. Setting aside matters of Sir, there are 3 elements of the report on which I desire clarification. The first of these concerns the progression of the final days in Rods at Han. I recognize no pattern in those succumbed to the transformation and those who did not. That's a bit of a trek if you wanted to chat with the locals. How about we lend you an airship? We do not require such outmoded technology. Tennant's teleportation spell is the most efficient option for long-distance travel. This chassis is a model, essentially a toy, and Alpha, despite his organic composition, is indistinguishable from a stuffed doll. Conclusion: we qualify as material possessions. Pick us up and you can teleport the 3 of us to our destination. Ha ha! I see how they did that logic there. Nice. Smart. Smart. It would have been cooler if he like held out his hand and like, put both hands on both of them, and then did teleportation. Sensors indicate that we have arrived at Rods at Han. Objective: identify factors for resistance to involuntary transformation. Hypothesis: unaltered survivors of the final days will display significant strength of heart. Confirming this theory will require the cooperation of live subjects. Where is the ward designated for residential habitation? Understood. Comma. Set as our sub-destination. Please take the lead and select the subjects we are to interview. Or if they're going to be following me now. Before that, though, I wanted to see... Huh, weird. I guess I'm more behind than I thought, because I could have sworn I had... Oh, this is the one I have. I have the 570 gear. Oh, that's gonna be a pain. Again, I'm not a deep player when it comes to crafting and all that. I'm just like, I do, you know, huh? Oh, look at that. I have... But yeah, again, like I was saying, so I do craft a little bit, but again, I'm not in depth. I don't know how to meld properly. I don't know how to do things perfectly. I just do what I can. So there we go. That being said, I would like to check these recipes out, see how they are. Just want to see what it looks like. Hey. It's actually kind of cool. The visor can't move. I actually dig that. That's actually really cool. Bending. Yeah, I dig it. Quality requirements. There are certain recipes items can only be crafted after reaching a sufficient level of quality during synthesis. The requirement for crafting such items can be confirmed at any time via crafting log. That's new. I don't ever remember that. Because I know there was the other ones. Where is it? Yeah, there's craftsmanship and control requirements, but I don't remember a quality requirement. That's new. Okay, they're changing it up, making things a bit more interesting. But enough of that. Okay, there is a conversation here we can have. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm like really behind on I'm really behind on shit. Alright. Discuss the stairs. Warning, please avoid stairs whenever possible. My projections indicate high risk probability for accidental slippage leading to catastrophic structural damage. Steep inclines also increase my energy consumption by 63%. In mortal terms, they tire me out. Taking into account the difference in individual limb strength, or limb length, the design is inherently flawed. A convenient step height for one is an exhausting trial for another. Were I to oversee the specific design of this settlement, I would construct a sloped conveyor belt which enabled automatic traversal, zero personal energy expenditure. Basically, he would want an escalator. That's cute. That's cute. I like that. I like it. I like it a lot. Hurrian boy. Hey, don't I know you? Yes, after the beasts were taken care of, you told me to join everyone in the square. Sorry, my voice... my throat closed up on me a bit there. Hold on there. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Ooh. Thanks to you, I was there when Vitra gave his speech, and I found out who Vershawn really was. It's a shame we don't get to play like we used to, but Mama says Vitra has been busy putting the city back in order. And getting ready to go try to get into the void. Maybe I can work with him one day, when I'm a man grown. Vitra, Midgard Summer's offspring, yes? And this child wishes to put himself at the worm's command, that he might make his own contribution to society. A pattern emerges. I predict that the Hanish survivors are those who had ingested Vitra's blood and become his draconic minions. Though dragons were no match for our civilization's might, their combat capabilities were not to be underestimated. It is unlikely they would experience emotions of dread or uncertainty, as exhibited by lesser beings in times of undue stress. Dragon? I'm not a dragon, and I never ingested anyone's blood either. Ew. You are not Vitra's horde, so you possess no hidden means to fight off the beast. What of fear, then? Were you frightened? You were frightened. Yes, I was frightened, and I just hid and hoped they wouldn't find me, at least until he told me it was safe to come out. Oh, hello again. You're the one who came to ask me questions about Calzal. I'm glad to see you looking well after all that unpleasantness. You look like the lady that transformed. I remember the burning skies and hearing the screams, but truth be told, I'm still confused as to what actually happened. I only know it wasn't unusual for entire families to go missing. Many of my neighbors' houses lie empty even now. So frickin' sad. Pazal's place is one of them. He had no close relatives to speak of, and I heard that it was members of the consortium who came to remove his belongings. What a terrible thing to have to do. Terrible? Kazal's passing was recorded in the report. Clearing out his domicile and readying it for new habitation seems appropriate reallocation of resources. Dear me, what a clever little contraption. But of course I'm not against making use of his quarters. That would be wasteful. It is simply that Kazal was always such a vigorous person. All that passion, all those dreams, suddenly gone. I feel the same sorrow for everyone who was lost. Seeing the remnants of those vibrant lives packed away in boxes, that is what I meant by terrible. That is what I mean by terrible. Melancholy man. Are you a traveler? Please, if you have a moment, I could use an outsider's perspective. You see, I was one of those who sought to escape the madness plaguing the world by fleeing to the moon. Not that we ever went, in the end. So here I am, recently returned from Charlian, except now things are strained between my sister and I, since she chose to stay and I chose to leave. I asked her to help me find work, and she suggests I look somewhere that isn't Thavnair, as if I wanted to abandon my home. Ugh, it makes me so angry. Your point is unclear. You elected to relocate to the star satellite, thus your relative now perceives you in this negative light. Your sibling's judgment is in error. Based on the information made available to Hanish citizens, your decision to withdraw to the moon was both logical and correct. Conversely, the decision to remain in Radzat Han, despite the low probability of survival, defies explanation. Perhaps her reasoning pathways are faulty. That's right! I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'm right, aren't I? Or so do I like to think. The problem is, I understand why my sister feels this way. I almost decided against going myself. Even then, I wasn't sure that leaving behind everything I loved was the right choice. And with the way it all turned out, Tenon, I require a moment to process this input. Let us move apart and discuss our findings. Processing data. Evaluating hypothesis against the accumulated evidence. I offered optimal analysis of each subject's testimony, yet each time their responses conflict with my assessment. Without identifying the root cause of this conflict, I will be unable to properly define what constitutes strength of heart. Perhaps the heart you seek lies in conflict itself? Perhaps we should continue questioning. Perhaps this matter is beyond you? It's not conflict. I don't want to say that it's conflict itself. Let's go with perhaps we should continue questioning. Acknowledged. A larger sample size will increase the probability of discovering an underlying pattern. Next, I wish to interact with individuals who endured similar circumstances to Khazal prior to his transformation. Are you acquainted with any local merchants who had dealings with him? I'm gonna butcher this name. The Nabaha of Ruvida Fibers, acknowledged. Sub-destination set. Oh wait, there's a place to have conversation. Oh, that's right, you can't use stairs. Oh, you can. Alpha looks back and forth between Omega and the Hamza, showing visible concern. Dang, I forgot to talk to Alpha at the stairs. Shit. Halt, Tenon. Do not proceed beyond the fence. In this body, birds of that size represent lethal, unthinking threats. They will peck at my casing apart, searching for meat that does not exist. Conversely, Alpha can correctly identify my absence of nutritional content. If only he would apply that intelligence towards maintaining a regular feeding schedule. Poor habits adversely affect his mobility. Alpha not eating right? For shame, Alpha. I wanted to see if he said anything about the stairs if I took him. Well, well, look who it is. I must thank you again for your help in moving our textiles. Recovering from those tragic events has been difficult, of course, but with everyone pulling together, we've managed to get things back up and running. Dinjbaha, I come with the questions related to the tragedy, specifically your survival of the final days. Although you are similar to Khazal in many respects, he succumbed to the transformation and you did not. Why? What is the critical difference between you and him? What? I'm sure I don't know. I'm not especially brave or courageous if that's what you're asking. Perhaps being focused on protecting our workshop kept me from spinning into a panic. Still, I imagine Khazal would have been feeling the same sense of responsibility. Perhaps the weight of all it... God, what is wrong with me? Perhaps the weight of it all is what invited his demise. You are of the same mind, resolved to the same purpose. Yet your strength of heart, of spirit, was not equal. If merely emulating the individual is insufficient, then some other unseen factor must be involved. Not to interrupt these deep philosophical musings, but do you think I could ask you a small favor? There's a man by the name of Nashvan, who's been helping us out here while he gets back up on his feet. I have a feeling he'd benefit from speaking with you. Leave by the eastern exit and you should find him just outside, organizing some new inventory items. Discuss Denevarian weave. The equipment manufactured here is worn to perform specific duties, yes? Conceptually, it seems analogous to our practice of switching frames to better serve our mission objectives. I, for example, did not begin existence with the Omega model. I was originally supplied with a standard issue Omnicron chassis, serial number M017. On this world, the alphanumerical combination would be considered my given name. Such designations are drawn from our nearly infinite register of celestial bodies to avoid the possibility of duplication. Furthermore, the cluster known as M017 is better expressed in your language as the Omega Nebula, the same word used to introduce myself to your kind. Though you associate Omega with the advanced weapon construct, it is also my name. Ooh, nice little factoid. And I see no reason to change it no matter which frame I inhabit. Alpha puffs out his chest proudly, seeming to imply that his Ironworks uniform is the best attire anyone could wear. Damn right, buddy. Damn right. That's all the orders accounted for, and everything looks to be in good quality. Kamala will be pleased. You, you, you are with the Scions. You were there. Yes, I'm sure of it. I'll never forget that day. You and your friends helped us escape when people began changing into beasts. My own son, he was afflicted. Then that huge... Oh, damn, that's the guy from the cutscene. Oh, my God. I just realized that. He is the guy from the cutscene that his son transforms and then gets stepped on by the monster. Oh, man, I completely... Oh, wow. Then the Usman started looming right over him, and... Oh, I remember my heart turning to ice, freezing in place. The satrap came to my aid, but then he too was gone. Yeah, that's what, yeah, man. The memories went together in my mind like flashes from a nightmare. Only the words of your comrades still ring clear. I repeated them over and over like a mantra as I fled for my life. You must run, for their sake and your own. It all seemed so surreal, which was probably what saved me from the transformation. The truth of it didn't begin to sink in until the worst of it was over. I have not the words to describe how I felt then. The sorrow, the overwhelming sense of helplessness. I may still be wallowing in misery if not for my old friend, Jinbaha. I'd lost my will to work, and he encouraged me with kind words and odd jobs. Now somehow I live again. I am thankful to him, to the courageous Iwan, and to you. If you see your comrades, please let them know their efforts were not in vain. Excuse me? You said you lost your will to work, which signifies cessation of efforts to maintain basic life functions, yes? What changed to extract you from that stagnation? An offer to work from Dijbana should mean little to one without the desire to accept it. Was it some manner of mortal instinct, a primal need to survive and thrive? Instinct? No, it wasn't that. If anything, my instincts were telling me to lay down and welcome the end to welcome the end to the pain. Every day I think of my boy's final moment. I think of how scared he must have been, how it must have hurt. I wanted to scream my throat raw. The satrap, too, still haunts my dreams. I see him being swallowed whole and jolt awake in a cold sweat. But something changed when Dijbaha came to me. I looked up and saw that even without my son or Iwan, the world around me continued to turn. And because that fact grieved me so, I knew it fell to me to live on and remember them. It's strange, isn't it? What drives me to rise in the morning is the very sorrow which once crippled me. Now I really must return to my work. To lose this job after everything I just said would be a poor jest indeed. May the sisters keep you well. Sorrow, the emotion generated by mortals when their ideals fail to materialize. This I have observed. Not do that because I'm balancing my water on the computer, and it's not a smart idea, but whatever. Yet when I listen to how Nishvan's sorrow served to rescue him from near fatal despondency, his logic eludes me. I am incapable of perceiving the full measure of the heart's properties. Or no, am I? Sorry, he meant am I. My breath projections fail to predict our subjects' responses, and despite their almost equal occupational and mental parameters, Dishbaha and Khazal exhibited different reactions to the dynamist effect. I am no closer to recognizing the pattern for involuntary transformations, and your ethereal mortal spirits, and your ephemeral mortal spirits confound me as much if not more than they did before. Have you considered there is no pattern to the people afflicted? The hearts of others were ever shrouded in mystery. Perhaps this time we moved on to the next element you want to clarify. Have you considered there is no pattern to the people afflicted? No pattern. You imply that the transformation was not contingent on individual fortitude, but rather a random contribution of environmental factors. Such a theory would explain the otherwise conflicting data. Very well. I shall accept this as a provisional conclusion to this part of my investigation. I do, however, expect you to continue supplementing my education of heart-related matters. All right. Let's continue on. Let's continue on. Goodbye. Omega has selected a new destination. Our destination will be Camp Broken Glass. I desire elaboration on the dealings between the Ilsbard contingent and the citizens of Garlemald. The report described the contingent's purpose as the salvation of the local populace. Furthermore, both factions faced a common enemy in the Telephoroi. Why did they not immediately combine forces to their mutual benefit? This inconsistency requires closer examination. Tenant, initiate teleportation. Okay. I should be able to finish. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish Tatru because I am going to be watching the Game Awards. Or not Game Awards. Haha, that's not until December. But I am going to be watching opening night live for Gamescom. Oh, why is Alpha sad? Aww. Teleportation successful. Evaluating immediate environs. A cold weather region by Aetheric standards, but significantly less extreme than a star with ice planet classification. Nice. This body should not be unduly impeded. In contrast to Alpha and his uncontrollable shivering, my frame appears highly resistant to the low temperature. Retrieving data. Records indicate that remnants of the contingent force and a number of Imperial citizens yet inhabit this location. We must speak with the representatives from both factions and explore their respective attitudes. Proceed. Oh, Alpha's cold. Before that, is there anywhere? for conversation? No, no. No conversations, just... Just want to make sure there's no conversations in the area that I can get on. Tenon, come to see how things are progressing, have you? I can't speak for the overall strategy, but communication with the locals has become a damn sight easier since Julius and his soldiers stepped in to help. Oh, we still face our fair share of distrust, of course. Some folk even think we're enslaving minds with our foreign magics. We have Anima to thank for putting that idea in their heads. But all things considered, I say we're doing it pretty well. Establishing an open dialogue was the first big step. Query: you consider this level of progress acceptable? The reality of your efforts falls short of the ideal. If your aim is to provide sufficient succor to the local populace, then absorbing their numbers into your command structure would be the optimal path. Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't want to go that far. We're not looking to take over their nation. If we're to do this the right way, we need to recognize and respect each other's way of life. So while it may not be the easiest solution, I agree with the contingent's slow and steady approach. I'm just happy we're saving lives. If only the rest of the world, if only real life could be like that. Emancipated refugee. A shadow from the past. Yes, I know you from Victor's spoils. Have you come to laugh at me, a wretch who chose to lose Licinia and her sister rather than accept your help? The fool who ended up reliant upon your charity nonetheless? Well, perhaps I deserve your derision. My compatriots surely scorn my failed conviction. I have shamed my people and brought dishonor upon my nation. I am no better than a kept beast, my pride sold for a bowl of feed. But not my soul, nay, that you shall not have. I've refused your honeyed offers of a new home. This land is where I belong, and this is where I shall remain. You demonstrate opposition to the contingent's overtures. On what basis do you review this cooperation? The data suggests that the local populace is struggling to produce the bare minimum of sustenance. Have you some streak of strategy for survival, or do your orders compel you to accept your present misfortune? What? I must be mocked by a Magitech toy now? No, I have no streak of strategy, no binding orders. I but comport myself as any true Graulian compatriot would, uncompromising, unbending. Blast it all. Once again, this input is unanticipated. Let us move aside and process what we have heard. Yeah, you people are stupid. Again, just checking, making sure there's... no conversations that could be had. Assessing and analyzing recorded data. Integration complete. I have evaluated this most recent input and made comparisons to our discoveries in rods at Han. Consistent only in their inconsistency. The response from both contingent members and the Imperial citizens were highly irrational. Conversely, any Omicron considering their predicaments would have echoed my assessment exactly. The divergence from self-evident logic is key. Hypothesis: the illogical relationship between would-be survivors and suffering populace is another result of the unpredictable nature of mortal hearts. Any property or ability has inherent advantages and disadvantages. Yet never have I encountered such unique detriment. It appears that those who share your metaphysical capabilities are prone to complicating simple cognitive processes. An undesirable quality. I will, however, persist in furthering my understanding of the subject. Query. Prior to formulating our next step, I wish to know who is this Licinia the Imperial mentioned? Oh, bro. Let me tell you about these sad, poor, deluded women. Acknowledge. To summarize, insufficient data on foreign culture resulted in the inadvisable and ultimately fatal action. I witnessed such self-destructive behavior during the course of our planetary conquest. Overwhelmed enemy forces would voluntarily withdraw into perilous regions, leading to a succession of inevitable losses. Tangential data request. I wish to learn about the burial customs. The practice has ever seemed nonsensical, but new data suggests it arises from the same source as your cognitive complications. Yeah. Take me to this Licinia's burial site. It may aid me in understand. Energy delivery systems compromised. Core temperature critically low. Warning: immediate heating required. Request apply friction to our frame. At least do a little hand movement thing to show you're doing friction. Temperature nominal. Energy levels stabilizing. The creators of this model have experienced impaired cognitive reasoning during the design process. Upon our return, I will request additional climate shielding, as well as an accurate temperature sensor array. This will not affect my combat capabilities, but should improve my basic survival rate. Reconfirming sub-destination. In which direction will we find Victor Spoils? Acknowledged. Alpha, you are to remain in close proximity, close enough to envelop me in your feathers. You are permitted to carry me on your back, if you so choose. Oh, going back to that sad, depressing place. That's how Final Fantasy gets you, man. That's how they get you. Weird. I thought they were buried elsewhere. They weren't buried here. Oh, they were buried here. Why did I think for whatever reason they were buried somewhere else? I don't know. A deceptively deep snowdrift almost defeated me, but we have successfully arrived at the location you indicated. Caution advised. An unknown individual appears to be investigating the object of my interest. Huh? You're Eorzear's champion, aren't you? Tenon Dracos. Oh, I never introduced myself, did I? I'm Manus, soldier of the First Legion and comrade of Julius. Perhaps you remember me from Tertium. We spoke about collecting Ceruleum, and again later on, after Lord Quintus had passed. Yeah, passed, right. Yeah, okay, I remember you now. Manus, explanation requested. What is the reason for your presence here? That must be the tiniest Magitech weapon Oh no, it's just an oddly shaped communicator, isn't it? In any case, of course they don't understand. I have nothing worthy to report. I heard that the sisters who used to live in my sector were buried here, so I thought I'd come and pay my respects. Oh my god, they were his sisters? Shit. Alphanod and Alice told me the story, complete with profuse apologies, though they were adamant that no amount of remorse could erase the tragedy of what came to pass. Not that my fellow soldiers and I are in a place to judge. We were manipulated, fooled into starting an insurrection which led to countless deaths among our countrymen. Our own countrymen. Objection. The casualties incurred through your infighting are distinct from those caused by the Ilzabard contingent. To restate, you are justified in seeking restitution from the contingent for causing the deaths of Licinia and her sister. Retaliation for damages sustained is also a logical progression. I can deduce two reasons why you do not initiate hostilities with Tenon and his allies. 1. You judge their remaining forces too weakened to contend effectively with the contingent. Your forces, sorry. 2. Your emotions are complicating the issue. Tell me, which one of these is correct? Well, when you lay it out like that, I'm afraid my answer isn't like to win me any medals. So would you mind keeping this to yourselves? There is the unspoken thought that we were outmatched on the battlefield, certainly. But the real reason I'm not demanding restitution has little to do with weighing the odds. The simple truth is I'm so caught up with simple survival that I have no strength to spare for past grievances. The same goes for avenging any comrades we've lost, be that my brothers in arms or Lord Quintus himself. Damn, they still have that bloodstain there, Jesus. Although it seems everyone has an opinion about the manner of his passing, some say he should have fought until the end, that he abandoned us to the enemy. Others praise him for taking the full burden of responsibility and freeing us to walk our own path. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but I'm inclined to side with the latter. He gave us the choice of freedom, and that's the choice I made. I could cry, rant, and rage, but what would be the point? I'll save my energy for worrying about my next meal, my next task. I need to focus on the ones left behind, on making some kind of life for my comrades and me. If I need to lean on the contingent to do that, then that's what I'll do. Even if their aid comes at a price, I'm willing to pay it. Even amongst your own, there are times when the cooperation demands compromise. What matter that their rights? I don't know why I can't let. What matter that they're outsiders? Besides, I think I could grow to like Alphanod and Alice. They've reached out to us with kindness and compassion from the very beginning. Summation: your desire to survive, even should it mean align with the contingent, with a feeling you already harbored. That your side had committed worse atrocities with the logic you invented later to justify. Oh God, ugh. Again. That your side had committed worse atrocities with the logic that you invented later to justify your reasoning. Blunt but accurate, I suppose. The heart is honest about what it wants, even if the mind takes a while to reconcile the decision. Say you want to go home, buddy. Well, this has been oddly cathartic, but I must return to my duties. There are wild beasts to call, watchfires to light, supplies to transport. Even without an emperor, there's no rest for the Imperial. Be well and stay safe. Upon review of recent input, I have arrived at an unexpected conclusion. I have been formulating my assessment on the premise that it was man who commanded the strength of his heart, but the data suggested the opposite is true. The surge of spirit, the feelings, of emotions, can entangle your thoughts to such a degree that even control over your own behavior is compromised. It seems a most counterproductive specification. This also explains why my interactions with mortal subjects have produced more confusion than clarification. It presents a formidable barrier to understanding. My earlier hypothesis has been borne out. The suboptimal operation being conducted here is the result of an emotionally compromised reasoning. I am ready to progress to the third and final query. I would learn more about those referred to as ancients. It is clear that this group was a crucial factor of the final days, but the information contained in the report was insufficient to form an overview. The Loprits are creations of the ancients and are said to maintain repositories of their knowledge. By my calculations, the base of these moon dwellers will provide the best source of additional data. Teleport us to Boro, Tenon, preferably before my battery freezes over. Adorable. But yeah, like, man, this quest is bringing up questions and feelings. It's rough, man. It's rough. You know what? I am. I love you, Medion, but you gotta go for a bit. Your teleportation spell was successful. We appear to have arrived at the location you described at Best Place Borough. An inspection of the technology in use here would give me detailed insight into the ancients and their civilization. This body, however, lacks my previous frame's advanced observational functionality. I'll require external assistance. Rowing way. No, it can't be. It is you. Oh, Tenon, how I've missed you. Oh, what is this you've brought with you? This soft, feathery vision. We've been all fluffed out. We've been out fluffed. Pack up the moon. It's all over. Yeah, Alpha's but really fluffy. Why bother with burrow building bunnies when you could walk around with this adorable avian engineer? Just bake me into a pie and be done with it. Inspect our inventions? Wait, so you're not done with us? I was truly worried. Of course. I wasn't truly worried, of course, and certainly wasn't about to roll myself in dough and dive into Cooking Way's new oven. Jesus, dude! Ugh. If a technical breakdown is what you need, then I'm your Loprit. As the resident atmospheric regulation expert, I can field any question or query you might care to pose. Acceptable. I will employ these beings to guide me around the facilities. Your presence is not mandatory. Even locked within my current chassis, I am still an autonomous construct that has endured hundreds of your life cycles. I am capable of completing this simple objective alone. I'm not gonna leave you alone. Oh, I guess they just do it off camera. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Objective complete. Was the tour helpful? Affirmative. I observed a representative cross-section of the Lopert's engineering capabilities. My guide required more time to confirm the answer to certain questions, but overall we made efficient progress. Conclusion. Extrapolating from the fraction of technology on display, the full spectrum of the ancients' advancement was, at minimum, equivalent to a level 4 civilization, a fact which demands further investigation. Despite establishing a near ideal society, these beings nevertheless harbored a weakness, which invited self-destruction. In studying them, I stand to gain a greater understanding of Sir's anomalous decision. Growingway informed me that another type of ancient-made entity exists upon this satellite, the one they call the Watcher. I would speak to him. Then conserve your aether. We will ride this Argos to our destination as you suggested. Oh. Well, since they specifically said Argos, uh, oh, there he is. I'm like, for some reason, I'm looking for him at the bottom. Alright. I mean, since he specifically said Argos, we'll get Argos. What the? Oh! he just put us there. Okay. Argos is pointedly ignoring the existence of Omega and Alpha. Impedance detected. The creature identified as Argos refuses to acknowledge our presence. Hypothesis. Upon our arrival, Growingway expressed concern that he had been out-fluffed. This suggests the existence of a fluff-based hierarchy. My station in such a system would be predictably low, but Argos is adamant in ignoring even Alpha. Its fluffiness level is impossible to gauge. Okay, that's getting a little silly now. Argos turns to you with an empathic gaze. It seems you will need to intervene. You're the fluffiest of them all, my dear Argos. You're the fluffiest of all, my dear Argos. Argos gives an exasperated snort before motioning to his back. It seems you have permission to climb aboard. You have secured the creature's permission. Curious. You must have special standing in the fluffiness hierarchy. I have allowed myself to become distracted. Let us continue on to the Watcher at once. Okay, that was dumb, but kind of funny at the same time. Maybe I should have gone with just think of them as luggage. The Watcher located. I estimate of this being's height explains the inconvenient scale of Bestway borrows. That's funny. I was bemused by the arrival of these small visitors, but I see that they are companions of yours. What a weird thing for my abode to be thus crowded. How may I be of service to you? Hello, Watcher. My purpose here is to learn more about the ancients. I would know of their deeds, their philosophies, the very nature of their hearts. I would understand why the final days was visited upon my home star. A worthy endeavor, but there is another better suited to assisting you with the task. Perhaps you might favor us with a tale or two of the ancients you met during your travels, Tenon. My fragmented memories would be a pale substitute, indeed, for the clarity of your more recent experiences. How do you know about that? Did somebody come up in here and talk to him and tell him? This is a rather long. This is a long conversation because a lot did happen over there. Yes, I can envision every detail. Your meeting with Vana, and Emmet Selk, and Hythlodaeus, the sorrow and determinations of Hermes. I am a creation of Heidelin, and as such, I believed the age of the ancients would fade and be forgotten. Yet, knowing that their memory lives so vividly within you, it brings me great joy. I pray you keep them close to your heart. At the time of your journey to the past, the one whose essence I embody would have been a scholar at Aneder. A shame. Had you reason to go there, perhaps you might have met. As a man of learning, he was firm friends with Vana, and they spent long hours trading theories or debating the laws of the universe. I remember joining her faction as the final days bore down upon us. Yet of the events surrounding that tragedy, I recall precious little. Heidelin wished for the people of your age to decide their own path. Thus, I suspect my recollection was limited by design. Yet, she could not cut away one persistent memory. I feel most distinctly his sadness at what was to come to pass, that in becoming Heidelin's heart, Vana would forever stand apart from the people she so loved. If she were so resolved in her convictions, then he too would share her sleepless vigil over the future yet to unfold. Thus was the vow he made to Vana as her transformation took hold. His fervent wish must have reached her in some fashion, for though his life was drained away by the summoning, he was reborn with new form and new purpose when I awoke as the Watcher of the Moon. And you heard, Tenon, you felt, you thought, and in seizing the future for yourselves, you brought full circle the saga which Vana began. What you accomplished was no divine miracle. It was but the beacon of hope passed down from one generation to the next, a succession of wishes and prayers reshaping the star into the world we knew you deserved. Damn. You have our deepest gratitude. I thank you not only as myself, but as the man I once was, and on behalf of those who devoted themselves to Vana's vision. I understand the facts of your story, Tenon, but not how you have chosen to process them. On what grounds do you speak of Vana with such fondness? By sundering the world, she ultimately guided your kind to victory, yet doing so caused irreparable damage to its individual members. The full scale of that act is beyond calculation. It is evident, however, that it resulted in the protracted period of suboptimal existence for Emmet Selk and his brethren. Query: if the survival of your kind is the deciding factor in your evaluation, then should you not also admire Hermes and his decisions to subject man to a trial, forcing you to change or perish, as was the fate of countless civilizations before you? Yes, but he was flawed in the fact that, I guess Amon got those feelings that Hermes felt, but at that point we were already sundered. We had already changed dramatically. The world had been changed dramatically, but yet those feelings of hatred and self-loathing and sorrow were, put on us instead of the past, how they were. We had already changed. That was the flaw in Hermes and Amon's feeling. They were valid in during Vanna's age, but during this age they were not. From my perspective, this determination was similar to that of the Omnicron's ancestors, those who first began trading flesh for machine, so that our people might stand against the onslaught of aggression from other races. It was an unprecedented attempt, accompanied by much failure and sacrifice. Their experiments were crude, primitive. Had they not made those first advances, however, we would have remained vulnerable to our environment. The violence would have utterly consumed us. And what if Emmett Selk himself? Judging by your retelling, he was a benevolent ally saddled with a tragic fate. Yet I remember the years when my instruments fed me data from events across the entire star. During that time, I witnessed his Asians engineer multiple instances of uh, cataclysmic strife. These calamities, as you know them, were responsible for planet-wide destruction. A man whose endgame relied upon the extinction of all modern mortals must, by definition, be your worst enemy. I require an answer. As a being of heart and soul, how do you classify each of these pivotal figures? From your perspective, which of them was the most justified in their actions? Oh man. They were all justified in their own way. That is true. They were. Vanna saw that we had to evolve, we had to change. We had to move past what they were. Emmett Selk, he wanted just to bring back home his loved ones. And again, Hermes, just like Vanash, he wanted to bring about change in people to see if we were worthy, but he went about it in a more negative manner. I think I understand. You seek a definitive answer, yet based on our experiences, Ten and I might develop a very different opinions. In the same fashion, you are free to form your own thoughts on the matter. Do not be so swift to consider them without merit. I do not have my own thoughts on the matter. I assess each situation with the same logical pathways available to every Omicron. Even if 1,000 Omicrons were asked to analyze the same event, they would all return the same result, regardless of individual experiences. There is no strength to be found in fractured reasoning. Nonetheless, I find your input valuable. Recording data alongside interview results. This concludes my investigation into the incomplete elements of the final day's report. I will reanalyze the accumulated information and examine the factors which led to Sir's incomprehensible decision. Let us return to Thamazine. Shit got heavy. Alright, do they still say the same thing? You had a fruitful trip, I hope. I was absolutely bursting to ask about your experiences with Omega, but I don't wish to be a pest. I will swallow my questions for now and maintain an academic decorum. Besides, it seems our engineering friends are in a hurry to leave. Ah, there you are, right at the last moment. Your journey with Omega was properly educational, I hope. We plan to ask you all about it and the mystery transmission besides, but I'm afraid something urgent has come up. Seems one of our Ironworks associates has fouled up a job elsewhere, and Jesse needs Wedge and me to rush in to lend a hand. There's an airship already waiting for us out in the harbor. In fact, do you think you could escort us over there and talk as we walk? Oh god, I just realized it's Biggs that I'm supposed to be talking to. Fudge. I meant to talk to everybody else first. Shit. Acceptable. I am fully capable of speech during ambulation. I figured you might be. Right, let's get a move on then. So, you've cleared up all the points of confusion then? He's not answering. He is not answering. I had mistakenly clarified your intangible heart as an ability of some kind. An uncanny power that the Omnicrons could neither learn or even measure. Even now, its full nature yet eludes my comprehension. Based upon our investigations, however, I have decided to alter my definition. Okay. A phenomenon which influences one's interpretation of reality. That is as close to an answer as I have found. According to Sir's actions upon meeting Meteon strongly indicate the presence of a heart. Sir did not follow routine logic, but formulated an independent assessment based upon the reality it perceived. It felt that the best recourse for the Omnicrons was to cease their expansion and terminate all functions. What a shot. What a shot. One second. Sorry. Anyway. Well, here's our ship. Alright, we need to be going. But first, I'll hold you to your bargain, Omega. It's time you told us what it was in that transmission from our flight logs. Oh, from the flight log. Acknowledged. I will uphold the terms of our agreement. The recording salvaged from the Ragnarok was a simple one. The message is so basic, in fact, that the time spent listening to it may result in a net loss of value. Shall I continue? Now you're just teasing. Tell us the message already. Acknowledge. Converting dialect coding to local language. To whomever receives this message out there in the vast reaches of the cosmos. To someone, I hope, who looks up at the stars with the same wistful gaze as mine. To you I say, forge ahead. May all our tomorrows be blessed with joy. Was that someone we knew already? Well, message we heard before? Of course, I have to play the song in the background, man. This message had no designated recipient. It lacks purpose. This is Omega talking to himself. Cool. The concept of joy is so overly abstract. The vocal supplications to manifest said joy is unrealistic in its optimism. Yet based upon their expressions, my assessment of the transmission's value conflicts with its apparent impact. And still, I fail to understand you, sir. Your heart still confuses me. Was the termination of everything the correct course? How did you arrive at this conclusion? It defies all my attempts at reasoning. But I was designed to evolve. If I continue to learn, the probability that I will eventually comprehend this phenomenon is greater than 0. Still, I will put the dilemma of your decision aside for now. And continue my existence upon this distant star, as I dwell among these many life forms, so I will continue to piece together the complete shape of their mortal hearts. I must document their progress. Wow, man, that was good, man. I dug that. But your contribution to my education is appreciated, Tenant. Indeed, I have amassed a satisfying quantity of valuable data. Now that our negotiated business is complete, however, Alpha and I will return to traveling the world. Drawing on recent experiences, I am confident we can expand the radius of our ventures by a significant margin. We need not limit ourselves to the Eorzea. I am now familiar with Sharlayan and Radzat Han, and I would also like to revisit the freezing climates of Garlic. I neglected to instruct Biggs and Wedge to upgrade my climate shielding. I will reroute my request to the to Deputy President Jesse. Engaging obulation and parting salutations. Farewell, Tenant. Take care, Omega and Alpha. Alpha gives a vigorous shake and draws forth a scrap of paper from under his wing. It seems he wants you to have it. Perhaps it's his way of thanking you. Ah, oh, flow together. Oh, okay. Swiftly, Alpha. The road is long and we have barely begun our journey. That was really good. I actually in my mind I was thinking this was going to be a conclusion to Omega and Alpha's story. Obviously, I know it goes further than that with 6.2 because they added the Omicron, a tribal quest line, and we see that Omega and Alpha are there. So but I actually really liked this continuation of that story, and just the whole vibe of it, the whole metaphysical thought of it, it was just really, really good and reinforced the impact of the story for me, of Endwalker, or 14 in general. But yeah, that was really, really good. I dug it. But yeah, that does it for this video. Okay, this quest took a lot longer than I thought it would. The Gamescom opening night live is going to be starting soon, so I'm gonna cut this here, but I will continue on to do Totru's Grand Adventure or Grand Endeavor, and then from there I'll go on to 6.2 content. So for now, yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like or comment down below. I'd appreciate any and all feedback. Follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Especially if you're enjoying any of my content, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, until next time, take care and have a good day. Good day. Good day and good game.